Ulterion and Harriet had steered the sandworm towards Boomvroomberg, which displeased the gnomes. After a forced agreement, Ulterion was sent away on a flybox, but that's a story for another day. Ulterion thought he was lucky that his flybox hit a large mound of snow on the mountain. However, Ulterion cursed his luck at not bringing warmer clothes. Two dwarven rangers were traipsing over the mountainside. Gransel and Hetel were a brother and sister duo that hunted for local restaurants and inns, local being within 10 miles away. They were hunting rabbits, at least Hetel was hunting for rabbits, where her brother Gransel liked to document plants that he found. Today was a typical day for the siblings. Hetel was determined to find rabbits because she was tired of mushroom stew, while Gransel was writing in his journal about a white flower.
Gransel?
Gransel ignored his sister and continued to document the flower.
Gransel!
Gransel looked up from his work.
What?
What? What do you mean, what? We're supposed to be hunting.
Gransel gave his sister a pleading look.
But this flower is rare.
Hetel shook her fist at her brother.
I'll make you rare if you don't help me get some rabbits.
But sister, they are so cute.
They're not cute enough for me to eat more mushrooms too. Oh, come on.
Gransel reluctantly followed his sister. Ulterion trudged through the snow with flurries hitting his face.
How can this get worse?
Ulterion heard a wolf howl in the distance.
Shut up, Ulterion. Just shut up.
Gransel and Hetel trudged through the snow when they heard a wolf howl. The siblings looked at each other in horror. The siblings started running. Ulterion found shelter in a small cave. He hoped it was shelter enough. He was still cold. And hungry. And scariest of all, he was tired. Ulterion desperately fought sleep as the howl grew closer. Gransel and Hetel continued to run. The howls sounded as if they were growing closer. Gransel turned to look at his sister.
They're getting closer.
I know! Don't shout common sense at me!
Ulterion laid on the cave floor, shivering. Ulterion heard the wolf howl very close.
Please don't find me. Please don't find me. Please don't find me.
I'm outside. I'm all outside.
Ulterion was confused.
What?
Ulterion stepped outside of the cave and gasped in horror as he looked up into a giant wolf's face. The wolf was indeed outside, for its mass took up all of Ulterion's vision. Ulterion could only stare up and shake in fear. The giant wolf opened its massive maw and descended on Ulterion. Ulterion sat up in bed, screaming. He looked around, surprised to find himself in a bedroom under several blankets. He was more surprised by the dwarf giving him a nervous smile.
Hello.
Ulterion stared at the dwarf in awkwardness.
Hello?
Gransel and his guest stared at each other in a moment of awkward silence. Gransel decided to break it.
Would you like something to eat?
Ulterion smiled and nodded.
That sounds wonderful.
Ulterion sat at the dining room table with the dwarf siblings eating mushroom stew. Ulterion didn't enjoy it, but he wouldn't be so rude. He smiled at his hosts.
This is good.
Hetel glared at her guest.
We were going to have rabbits.
and move that glare to her brother.
But we're having stew instead. And a guest.
Gransel glared back at his sister.
Hetel?
Ulterion continued to eat his stew and stay out of conflict.
This is really good.
The dwarves and Ulterion finished their meal in silence. Ulterion, Gransel, and Hetel sat in front of a fire. They were drinking hot chocolate.
Thank you so much for bringing me into your home. I didn't want to deal with those wolves.
There's no wolves on this mountain.
Ulterion looked at Hetel in shock.
Then what was all the howling I heard?
Gransel shook his head.
You don't want to know.
I'm sure I don't want to know, but I should know.
Let me tell you a tale. It was centuries ago. A dwarf named Dwairfataur brought a group of dwarven miners to mine for Mithril. They mined for days. Till they struck gold. Mithril.
We have struck Mithril.
Dwairf smiled at his newfound fortune.
Excellent.
They continued to mine, unaware of the spirit they were anchoring.
Dwairf, Professor.
The miners stopped and looked around in fear and confusion for the source of the voice. Dwairf scoffed, thinking that it was some cave dweller playing a trick.
I have fortune in Mithril in his cave. I won't stop till I get all of it. So away with your spirit. This is your first warning.
The voice was gone as quickly as it came. Dwairf shrugged it off and addressed his men.
Back to work. No mountain spirit will keep me from what is mine.
The miners went back to work, not knowing what they wrought. The next day, the miners continued their work, reluctantly, until the Ariox came. The ram folk attacked and slaughtered a few of the miners. Dwairf wouldn't give up, and he would not let his men give up either. They went back to work the next day, a few men short, but stopped when the voice came back.
I see we're not good at listening, Dwairf. It will take more than the ram folk to stop me. I will take that into consideration.
Then Dwairf was sure the voice was gone. He glared at his men, who were looking at him pleadingly.
But, get back to work.
The miners got back to their work begrudgingly. And the next day, the miners went back to work. Then, the miners were attacked by coal cats. Many of them were torn apart by rock-like claws and burned by their breaths of flame. And the next day, Dwairf got his men back to work, with many shouts and threats. Then the voice returned.
I see you are bad at learning, Dwairf.
Dwairf glared at the voice. As well as one could glare at a disembodied voice.
No, you don't learn. I will never stop till I get my medal.
There was a dead silence that the miners waited in with fear. Dwairf smirked, thinking he defeated the voice, until it said,
Since all you hunger for is metal.
Dwairf suddenly felt a dull pain all over his body. The miners cried out in agony. Dwairf watched his miners' bodies contort and change.
Oh, what is...
Dwairf's dull pain became sharp agony. He felt his body start to contort and change. He felt his legs extend into the lower half of a wolf. And his head became that of a wolf.
You shall always hunger for metal.
So Dwairf and his miners became...
Gransel was inches from Ulterion's face. Ulterion was freaked out by the story and Gransel's uncomfortable proximity.
Dwairfataurs!
Gransel waved his hands at Ulterion and rolled his eyes while making spooky noises. Ulterion looked terrified. After 2 days and Hetel's insistence, Ulterion made his way down the mountain. Ulterion read his list as he walked down the mountain.
Let's see. I need
Ulterion's heart sank as he read the words out loud.
Dwairfataur teeth.
Ulterion trekked back up the mountain.
This is so stupid. I can't believe. Oh.
Cursing Bonefoot, his mission, and well, his life in general. He walked slowly through the cave.
I think this is where it came from.
As if to confirm, Ulterion heard howls. And became excited.
Yes, I found them.
His excitement disappeared and was replaced with horrifying realization as he heard more howls.
Oh, damn. I found them.
Ulterion walked into a large cavern deep in the cave. He managed to make a torch despite the cold. Although its warmth and light was little comfort. Ulterion heard the howls. They were closer. His brain desperately tried to come up with a plan of action, but nothing was satisfactory. Ulterion came to a cliff. I looked over to find the Dwairfataurs below fighting over a fresh kill. Ulterion didn't know how many Dwairfataurs he was staring down at, but he knew it was too many.
Now, how do I get those teeth?
As Ulterion thought, he felt a hot wind on his back.
That's funny.
Ulterion realized the wind was not wind, but someone, something's breath. He slowly turned around, to find himself face to face with a Dwairfataur. Ulterion smiled nervously.
Hello?
Ulterion ran as fast as he could, with the Dwairfataur pack chasing after him. Ulterion saw a small cave up ahead. Ulterion ducked into the small cave as the Dwairfataurs passed. Ulterion waited. Ulterion slowly exited the small cave to look around, thinking he was safe, until he saw the lone Dwairfataur sniffing around until it saw Ulterion. Ulterion backed away.
Whoa there. I mean you no harm.
The Dwairfataur crept towards Ulterion, snarling.
Clearly that won't prevent you from harming me.
Ulterion suddenly realized he had a dagger in his boot. He had acquired it from, well, he couldn't remember. The point was he had a dagger. He pulled it out and brandished it at the Dwairfataur.
Stand back. Don't make me use this.
The Dwairfataur seemed unfazed by Ulterion's threat as he continued to growl. And creeped closer to Ulterion. Ulterion shrugged and readied his weapon.
All right. You asked for it.
Ulterion charged towards the Dwairfataur
Ha!
and brought his dagger towards its chest as the dagger hit and broke. Ulterion remembered that Gransel had told him about the Dwairfataur's mental immunity.
Damn it.
The Dwairfataur punched Ulterion in the stomach, knocking him to the ground. Ulterion laid on the ground, holding his sore stomach. The Dwairfataur leapt towards Ulterion. Ulterion looked around frantically when he found a large rock. He grabbed it and put it before him as the Dwairfataur snapped at him, but ended up biting the rock. Blood and pain flooded the creature's mouth, causing it to back away. As the creature was distracted by its pained mouth, Ulterion found a few teeth on the ground. He smiled.
Yes. Finally. A break.
Ulterion's exuberance and smile faded as he heard growling behind him. Ulterion turned around to find other Dwairfataurs glaring and growling at him.
Oh, come on.
Ulterion ran with the Dwairfataurs chasing him again.